So if you're the same person you were 15, 20 years ago, go see a therapist.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is something that happened with me years ago. A good friend of mine that we graduated from high school together. Right after he got out of school, he got an armed robbery and kidnapping charge. And of course, he got put in the state pen. He got up there. He's kind of emotionally unstable guy in a way, not in a real bad way, but he did. And he got in the penitentiary, and he ended up breaking out of the penitentiary, him and another guy, and went on the run, kidnapped some people, and so anyway, it became a really bad scene for him, and his life was just unraveling. Well, when he finally got out of prison, Jay, he came back, and I was living in the town he came back to, and everybody's scared to death of this guy, strong-arm guy, run around kidnapping people. His buddy, actually, that he broke out of prison with, his buddy did kill a guy. But anyway, when he come back, this guy was just toxic to the nth degree. No one even wanted to be around him. And I told my wife, I said, John's got out of prison. I'm going to go down and see him. And I went down and see him, and John was in a real bad place, man. Dark place, Jay. I don't know, prison and everything else. He was talking about doing some really bad stuff. And I went and seen him every day for about a week, talking him down, And today the guy's a pastor. He does a lot of community support. He does all kinds of good things in the community. But if someone took the time and said, okay, this guy's worth talking to, and me and him was friends, and I didn't turn my back on friends. I don't care. If I was your friend, I'm not going to turn my back on him. But that was just the deal laid on him, and he was in a dark place. But you can't say that's going to be someone's final story until you see the story play out. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And let me say this. Nobody gets the right to write my narrative, my story.
The inclination towards selflessness is a part of God above, as it is written, and He blew into His nostrils the breath of life. Blowing comes from the innermost depths of...
I swear to God, I am a true believer in karma. So Eric Harris comes up on that stage and he lies on me, He didn't say anything like I was trying to get money or soliciting women. He just didn't like me. He took a hold of that mic and he tried to go scorched earth on me. But you know what happened with Eric Harris? I didn't have to seek revenge. He fucked himself. He wound up leaving his rent-controlled apartment in Manhattan, which probably now goes for thousands and thousands of dollars, to go live in Cleveland, Ohio. Who the fuck leaves New York City for Cleveland? Goes to live in Cleveland, Ohio. Everybody in here is familiar, or should be familiar with the guy Giuseppe. Giuseppe promised him a job and a house. Well, this guy packed up his life, this piece of shit, went to Cleveland, and after 2 days, Giuseppe fired him and he had nowhere to go. See how karma works, Steve? You do bad, bad comes back. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, Cleveland I lived up there for a while. That's not a cakewalk up there.
But the point was, I don't have to do anything. Like, I've mentioned her name before, and I'll mention it again. Julie Logan. Some of you people are friends with Julie. Be friends with Julie. I'm just saying, be careful with Julie. She's a piece of shit. And any name I've ever thrown out, you people know, I'm right on. She's an insidious cancer that sucks the life off of people. But hey, go hang out with Julie until she fucks you over.
Yeah. Hey, Marshall.
Marshall Maker, did you get your yogurt? He must be walking.
Yeah. I heard another. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say, if you guys haven't joined Chatty yet, please do. I think you really love the experience, the interaction over there.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about
Yeah, I do true crime. I don't really go into the other rooms, but because that's my lane. See, I also learned on this app, stay in my lane. I don't need to go get into the gossip and the bullshit. I don't care about none of that. To me, I just rather have a good conversation. Steve, as a politician, not trying to dox you, what do you think of these tariffs?
I think it's high stakes poker, Jay. What do you think?
Dude, I agree with you, and I know that China announced that I think they're issuing a 36% tariff on American goods. 36%, bro.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I hear all these people talking, that saying, he's messed up, stock market's taking hit. Anyone that looked at his plan knew there's going to be turbulence, and if there's turbulence in business, you know that.
Well, this time it was more like an early form of Buddhism, competing over it. Like you go with what's that fucking Monkey King guy's name? That religion that they had, the Monkey King, Wukong or something like that.
Unaman.
Oh, this is Avatar Island.
No, instead of you and Chris constantly just calling us stupid, how about you recognize the valid points so that people will feel like they're being heard? You're a moderator.
The issue when it goes,
You can't validate.
They're not valid. That's the issue, but it's hard to explain.
You think a war between an invading group into a sovereign country.
No,
You refuse to put the terminology consistent with the action.
Monica, you're not understanding
What
me. I'm
makes you
saying
think
it's a very
Oh my
different
God.
thing
The
from
number of people that think we don't understand is annoying. It's not that we don't understand your argument, it's that we don't agree with it. And you've got to hold space for people not agreeing with you because you completely understand your flawed logic. And
It's
we're
not flawed
tired.
logic. You're saying it's not the same. It's like British colonialism, like white
one said
reaching,
British.
very, very
No
different.
one said.
No, I'm saying
It's
colonization.
It's just the truth.
You
They
said
taught me how to wipe my ass.
Yo, hey, can I speak?
Alright, I'm on mute.
Black people taught me how to wipe
Yeah,
my
we
own
haven't
ass.
Heard from
Hey, well,
Abundance in a while, so
because he's Christian. Yeah.
God bless
Callie,
you.
black people taught me how to wipe my own ass. Did you know that?
wow.
Yo.
Go on, Abundance.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Like I was saying, I was going to say this, right? Let's stop blaming racists, right? Let's come together and try to find a solution instead of arguing about the problem. There is no progress here. There is nothing happening that's good for us, beneficial. We're only boiling pots, okay? Nobody's going to go to sleep happy tonight if this keeps going, okay? Let's make progress, okay? Please, thank you.
But we can't acknowledge or come to a solution if everybody on the stage doesn't acknowledge the problem even exists.
Well, we have to acknowledge that black people taught me how to wipe my own ass. And we have to give them credit for this.
Well, to Abundance point, like the issue is, right, that the conversation is inherently uncomfortable because, like, race is just a veil that essentially shows that there are segregated emotional realities, right? There's one people that were divided by race that have created the United States. Now, part of those people are like the part of the repressed mind that people don't want to acknowledge, right? It's the part where they kind of project their traumas and they project aspects of their humanity that they don't necessarily want to realize. So it's an inconvenient truth. It's an uncomfortable conversation, and I don't know how you can get away from that because essentially what you're asking for is for people to be fully human, and that requires people to deal with the truth and to have uncomfortable truth, like to be able to contend with uncomfortable truths. So I don't know how you can like kumbaya your way forward when you're asking someone to go through a process that's going to make them more of a human being than a capitalistic cog.
Okay, Doctor, have you ever heard an argument from a person who thinks white people are racist that you found to be persuasive at all? Any argument that
legends in their own mind. But they was conventional. You know what I'm saying? You knew what they was going to do. I came in unconventional and smoked them. And they didn't understand why. Well, it was real simple. You're predictable, and I'm not. And that's what we're looking at now.
He's definitely unpredictable. What's up, Edmund?
Happy Friday.
Edmund, I've been sticking up for you in thousands of rooms. Just be normal today, or at least try, please.
Well, I think tariffs are good. I mean, I wouldn't be worried that China imposed a tariff on us because we can't even do business in China. So, I mean, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, they only got licenses and limited licenses to operate there a year ago. So, what Trump is doing is not just reciprocal, it's common sense, it's pragmatic. It's what we were doing in the beginning. It's what every regular country does. It protects itself and it grows itself. I mean, it doesn't give away, the barn and the cattle. We've been giving away everything and letting ourselves get taken advantage of, and everybody knows it.
Well, let me say this, Doge. Before this election, everybody had like one particular issue, right? Immigration, inflation. Mine was Israel. Started and finished with Israel. I think we can have a better president in office for the country of Israel than Donald Trump. That's just my opinion. I think the world he's demanding respect from the world, and we're starting to get it.
I don't know. My issue has always been the national debt, and essentially Elon Musk has exposed woke spending. Every day, Doge keeps pulling from the databases and showing the descriptions of requisitions that the federal government has been making, and it's absolutely insane.
Well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when he leaves that position? Because he can't. He has to leave after, I think, 120 days.
He has established. I don't know if you follow x.com/Doge, but there are Doge accounts for every major agency now. And my sister works at an agency, and she has a new Doge director that has taken over the board of directors. So Doge isn't going away. It's a revolution in the sense that even if Musk steps away, there's still commanders everywhere. So Doge as a political movement, or essentially transparency, or a ledger, which is common sense and practical. I mean, you should, as a taxpayer, you should actually be able to, by the percentage, break down your contributions to see where they're going. That's what responsible government does. So, Elon Musk has declared that this is a revolution, and this is the second day of liberty. We are, finally being run by adults instead of insane, mentally ill clown trans people.
So you're okay. You're okay with paying an extra $10,000 or $5,000 on the car because these tariffs. You're okay with that?
I don't buy new cars. I'm cheap. I buy used cars from Craigslist, so I'm okay with that. Because I spend according to what I can afford, unlike our government. I buy what matches my savings and my earnings. And unlike our government that just borrows $1 million a second to keep the whole system running, again, we finally have real adult, mentally sane, common sense leadership. We have been run by an autopen, an Alzheimer patient, a communist, Kamalist, cackling criminal. You're Ketchikon. You know how predatory humans are on each other, and I'm sure you understand just how predatory a lot of these Democrat clown shills have been on the American taxpayer and voter.
Well, here's one other thing. We was talking about this other day, and this goes to the heart of what Trump's talking about. Like right now, we got an aircraft carrier group setting off the coast of Yemen. Why? Because they is interfering with traffic going in and out of the Suez Canal. Now, who's paying that bill? Obviously, we are, and we're keeping that shipping lane open. So all these people in Europe and everywhere else, instead of going around the Horn of Africa, can bring those container ships right through that port. Now, you got to ask yourself, we're paying the bill. Who's benefiting? Well, I'll tell you who's benefiting. Everyone that's running their container ships into Europe or into Greece or wherever to cut that down. But who's paying the bill there? We are. We're sitting there paying the bill, and this goes on in different instances in different areas all the way around the world. And someone asked me the other day, they said, well, Steve, don't you want to keep the shipping lane open? I said, sure. I said, but is it fair that me as an American taxpayer pays taxes to keep a carrier battle group in there so other countries can benefit? I said, why not have a toll like you do on a highway? We're keeping the road open. You pay a toll to go through there, and you're helping pay the cost of that battle group. But people don't think about that. They think, well, it's the United States. We got a big military, so we'll take care of it. But in taking care of it, we benefit other nations, and we pay the bill, Jay.
Oh, I know. What do you think? What does everybody think about Donald Trump firing the NSA director last night?
I didn't see the NSA. I didn't see that news yet, but I know that Tulsi Gabbard fired 50 trans cult top secret and handlers at NSA. I mean, there was an internal cult. Did you ever see that article?
No, but I'm gonna pin that to the top. How the NSA director got fired yesterday in the middle of the night, which I thought was kind of funny.
Well, I've got to tell you, the CIA, the NSA, and some of these agencies, I think they almost run like a little shadow government all to themselves, and I think there needs to be a lot more accountability inside those groups, Jay.
I agree 100%. And I'm not a conspiracy. I don't think I'm a conspiracy nut, but I think the CIA killed Kennedy because he was gonna shut down that department. They had every reason to kill this guy.
Yeah, and the fact that he wanted to stop the war in Vietnam, which was going to cost a bunch of defense contractors all kind of money too.
But then again, Steve, I also think the Democrats tried to kill Donald Trump in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's funny how that kid that was just some whack off the rocker type kid had all these phones with encrypted accounts in it.
How did he get so close to the president? People were pointing him out to the Secret Service. How did he get so fucking close? You know how hard it is? Donald Trump's in my city all the time. You know how hard it is if he's on a block, they shut the whole block down to get near this guy. How the fuck did this kid climb up on the roof in the fields of Pennsylvania and take, I don't know how many shots he took at the guy? A half a centimeter, Donald Trump's, he's worm food.
Right, and not only that, you hear the lame excuse, they said, well, the roof was too steep. That was at most a 3-to-1 roof on that thing, Jay. That wasn't steep. Anyone that's ever been on a roof knows that was about as easy a roof as you could ever find.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, when they start going back on that, and anyone that's ever been on a roof looks at that thing, you say, dude, you're full of it.
Harry also brings a good point. How did a guy stay in the bush for 2 days at Mar-a-Lago? I'm telling you, man, we still haven't got answers to what was behind this kid. To me, they tried to take him out because they know they were going to lose a cop.
I looked at that link. I don't know if you know the connection with Laura Loomer there, and this Chinese guy who's now working in the administration, who she's giving grief to on X, but I got to give Laura Loomer, her props. Like, she's unbelievable. She's a digger, and she posts screenshots and writes up, articles essentially that change people's lives for the better or for the worse.
Isn't she a wackadoo though?
You could say that about anybody, but the truth is in the pudding. Look at her X account and see what news she breaks, because she just had a meeting with Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Her and Donald, she views herself as being the savior of Donald Trump in the sense that she has broken news articles about corrupt judges, and she does a lot of research. And so it's just so easy to discredit her, but in the world of the social media influencer...
Hey. News on the only judge on this app named Brent?
Do I have any news about him?
No, I said Laura Loomer. Can she break some news on the fake judge on this app?
I think Brent's probably breaking wind right now. You know, I mean, talk about a Superman. Like but let's be honest though, he knows a lot of terminology. So, I mean, I've heard it said from somebody that said he was a court secretary or a court, assistant, but not an actual federal judge, and thus he knows all the terminology. Um, and I heard him going on and on about Luigi Mangione. Like the guy still can give good analysis, even though he's, a disgusting, Peter Puffer, and that's what it is.
What about the fact that he said he was in intelligence for IDF and he doesn't speak Hebrew? Does that make sense to you?
No, but I will say people lie on this app all the time to gaslight the other side, and it's kind of funny because I just think this app is a comedy app now, and it's mostly all just hypnosis, and it's a huge waste of time.
That's why I tell everybody go to Chatter. Go to Chatter, people. You'll have a better kind of conversation.
I'd rather go to the gym.
Isn't it amazing how many doctors we have on this app too?
Oh yeah, let me say hello to Gil. Gil, what's up, man?
Yeah, fine. I've got 25 degrees, 14 PhDs. I'm a federal judge in 16 different federal courts. I served in the IDF, and I don't speak a word of Hebrew.
Sounds about right. He should be a clubhouse icon.
I remember I absolutely pinned him, and he blocked me and started talking shit about me everywhere when I asked him in Hebrew exactly where he served in the IDF, and started speaking to him in Hebrew. He then said to me, "Don't speak to me in a language that other people don't understand in this room." I said, "Well, just answer," and I continued speaking to him in Hebrew, and all I said to him was, "Just answer me in Hebrew. Just answer me one sentence in Hebrew. Tell me where you were in the IDF." And he just kept on saying I'm a homophobe, I'm a filthy piece of shit, and blah blah blah.
Well, I have a question.
Money for that.
I have a question for Alan Dean, the esteemed Alan Dean. What's up, Alan? I was hoping you'd come to the stage to have some dialogue.
So talking about tariffs, JB, interestingly enough, I had a conversation with my finance guy last night. We talked for about 2 hours about this, and he said this is short-term pain, but very much long-term gain. When this all gets rolling, you're going to see interest rates coming down. You're going to see taxes coming down considerably on businesses and on income. It will all balance up. Countries will come and negotiate again with the United States. There'll be parity across the board, and things will be fine. So yes, there's short-term pain. The NASDAQ this morning is heading into a bear market. It looks very, very grim, but there will be long-term gain.
So Gil, let me just say 2 quick things. First off, and I could be wrong, I'm sure I'll be fact-checked. Israel eliminated all tariffs against America. Sounds like a smart move to me, Gil.
So Israel, whilst they eliminated the tariffs, the consumer in Israel still pays very large tax. For example, on US cars that are coming into Israel, there is an 83% tax on that for the consumer. Taxes on cars in Israel have always
been... Wait, hold on. Gil, let me answer you, don't even mute up. Is this tax on cars that are American made or all cars?
All cars. All cars.
Why do they do that, Gil?
Because Israel is a very highly taxed country. We have a huge military that needs to be paid for, and the way to do that is by taxes. Gas prices in Israel are 3 times the prices on the gas pumps here in the States. Car prices are more than double the price of cars here, or even in Europe.
Wait, cars are twice the price here?
No, twice the price of Israel.
Well, don't they have to import everything?
Yeah, they import everything. Cars are twice the price.
So it's a consumption tax, Gil?
Yes.
Gil, did you see yesterday? God bless Donald John Trump. He's selling $5 million visas, the golden ticket. What do you guys think about the golden ticket?
Listen, you know what? People want to come to the United States with a bag full of money to start business and to employ people and to help the economy by employing people, etc., etc., etc. I'm all for it. Why the hell not?
I would bet he doesn't sell more than 10 of them. Who could afford $5 million?
There's plenty of people in this world that have $5 million that would love to come and live in the States and start a business here. Plenty.
Yeah, here's the thing that I can see what a lot of the pushback people give. Not that I agree with it, but like, well, you're just being so unfair because you're allowing these rich guys to come in here. I can just hear it right now. But like Gil was saying, you know, if a guy can pay that amount for a visa, he can come here and start a company. He can start a business, maybe employ 20 to 100 people. Why not?
Jay, if we're $40 trillion in debt and our annual budget is $7 trillion, just multiply that by 25 since the start of 9/11, and you'll realize that we have spent $200 trillion. There's a lot of dollars out there that are not in this country. And just like that movie Network, where he says, you know, the flow of money, ebb and flow, it has to come back. So there's a lot of our dollars sitting out there that want to come back.
The truth is this, and just my opinion, I'm not an economist, not a financial planner. In my opinion, our great-grandchildren will still have debt. We're never getting out of this debt. I'm not saying to continue to spend it, but we're in for a roller coaster here, man. Look, I don't play the stock market. I like my money in my hands. But we're always going to be in debt. We're a country of debt, bro. Listen, when I was married, my wife used to stress credit cards. I used to tell her, what the fuck are you... American Express is not jumping into that grave with you. I'm not saying be, ridiculous with your credit cards, but enjoy life. People get so hung up on debt and credit cards. Bro, what about just put your feet in the sand and breathe a little bit? Just my opinion.
People get into the flow of using it. And, I read on Reddit in the bankruptcy threads about people, whose lives, they're basically on the verge of homelessness. So, there's so many homeless people, 30 million homeless.
By the way, let me just say this. I read, I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. This might trigger some of you people, so put your big boy pants on, your big girl panties. That the 2028 Democratic ticket will be Gavin Newsom at the top and AOC as his running mate. Now, think what you want about him, Stevie. That's a powerful couple.
Yeah, I guess so. But it kind of makes sense in a way, Jay. I can see the logic in it from their perspective.
Pritzker's definitely has ambitions to run for the president as well.
Can I say something very inappropriate, or will I be lambasted for it?
Do you, man? You're my friend. I got your back.
AOC's got a nice rack.
Watch the video of her dancing in college. It's fantastic. She's a beautiful woman. She's also, I think, next level batshit crazy. Thank God she's not my congresswoman. But that's what I heard is going to be the ticket, just like I predicted. Andrew Cuomo is going to be the next mayor of New York City. You guys can go to Vegas and put all your money on it. Andrew Cuomo is the next mayor of New York City.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
I agree with you. I like Andrew. I think he'll clean up the city. So here's the thing with Andrew Cuomo. This is my prediction. He'll come in, he'll clean up this fucking cesspool that we know as New York City for about 2 or 3 years. He has ambitions on bigger prizes. See, one thing, Gil, America loves? We love a comeback story. And he's going to ride that wave. He has bigger ambitions. I could see him running in 2028. Maybe and whoever the nominee is going to be, if it's not him as vice president. But he's not going to stay as the mayor. But I like the decision as well.
There has to be MAGA. There has to be MAGA candidates and Doge candidates to wipe these people away, because they're the problem. They're the big spenders that have gotten us to where we're at. Their time is done if Trump and Doge and MAGA can capitalize on this political movement in this country.
But here's the thing, Edmund. Will the wave still be going for the Republicans in 2028? Where's the economy going to be? That's what people really give a fuck about, right? Our pockets, paying our rent.
But the problem is the public.
Hold on. J.D. Vance, in my opinion, I'm not a fan. He doesn't have the charisma of Donald Trump. He's actually like staring at a tree with that guy. That's where they're going to come in. Is he going to be a good public speaker? Let me do a quick reset. Trump, the gift that keeps on giving. The NSA director and cybersecurity chief, Tommy Hall, and Deputy Wendy Noble were fired last night. The NSA got fired. They're cleaning out that agency. But guys, you have a big ticket cashing in. Let me say good morning to Harry, America, Stinny, Weedman, Moishe, Jeremy. Good morning, guys. Nux Ali. Al, how you doing? You guys want to come up? Weedman, raise your hand. You're more than welcome to the stage. Go ahead, Edmund.
Yeah, they say that 35% of our entire economy is artificial and created out of the Congress and Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C. every year. So if the American population is broke, in 2028, the fact of the matter is that means they just want more fake free shit and more debt out of Washington, D.C. and Congress and Federal Reserve, and we can't do that. Chairman Powell said in a recent congressional hearing that this is a 20-year battle to bring the debt down. This is like fight for our lives. And if it wasn't for Trump and Elon Musk, J.D. Vance and others, Tulsi Gabbard Kennedy, etc., like America probably would have imploded, and they would have escalated it in the same way that they are douching. They would have done the opposite and spent like drunken sailors.
Well, let me address something in the chat. Alan Dean says J.D. Vance is a great speaker. Alan, respectfully, is he a great speaker because you agree with the message, or because he's a great speaker? See, when I think of great speakers, I don't think of J.D. Vance. Donald Trump, think what you want. The guy's a fantastic speaker, public speaker, right? Ronald Reagan, great speaker. Barack Obama. J.D. Vance, in my opinion, is it the message or is the messenger, Alan?
Yeah, but JP, you're missing something here. He's also much, much younger than the three you mentioned there. He's got a lot of learning to do and a lot of maturing to do in politics as well. He's extremely smart. I agree with you. I don't think he's the best speaker in the world, but as time goes on, he's going to get better and better.
I think the one thing he does and does well is when he tries to articulate a subject or a conversation, he can frame it with clarity that anyone can follow along. He can really articulate.
Yeah, but Steve, here's the thing. You don't have to even read up. Here's the issue I have with J.D. Vance, and I may get some smoke with this. Is if the man would stop wearing mascara, I would take him more seriously.
Oh God. Hey, back to the budget thing just a little bit, not to derail things, but talking about the public and the financing is. You guys ought to study in sometimes where you have state, federal, and local people talking about financing and where the money's going to come from, how the money's going to be paid back, and what a convoluted state of mind that people will get into when you start talking state and federal dollars. And it's like they lose track of everything that they have to account for in the real world because they think that somehow there's this pot of money there that just is an endless well that they can tap into. And it becomes almost convoluted to listen to some of these conversations. And you just be amazed. That's all I can say.
Well, I'm going to pivot off the economy for a minute because I want to get Gil in this part of the conversation. I'm pinning an article to the top right now. I personally think it's bullshit and they're full of shit, but the article is, let's load up. Hamas said it will release all Israeli hostages at once to end war. My man Gil, what do you think about it? You think they're full of shit?
Sorry, Hamas says it released all Israeli. Well, look, the only way this war is going to end is with the three things. They release the hostages, but also they completely surrender and put down all their weapons. These are the three stipulations that Israel have made it very clear that they will agree to. Obviously, getting the hostages out is a priority, and we'll be delighted to see every hostage released.
Well, Gil, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that they can play any part in the reshaping of this government once the war is over?
No. They shouldn't play any part, and they cannot play any part.
In your opinion, will there be a two-state solution?
No.
So what does that look like?
It looks like right now. Now is all important, and it's going to come down to a climactic battle. And
say that again, Gil. Yes, Steve.
I think one of the things you got to look at from Israel's point of view. I can't remember every single time that this has happened, but you look through the years. I think it's 50, 47, 57, 67, 73. I mean, it's been over and over and over that they've been constantly attacked. At some point, you just got to figure, hey, these people aren't going to leave us alone. We just got to do what we got to do because there's no rhyme or reason on what's going on here. They just want to eliminate us. So that's the deal. We just got to go on and do what we got to do. That's the way I see it from their point of view.
Well, Steve, let me ask you a question, and this is to anybody in the room. Maybe you guys can answer this. If it wasn't a Jewish state, right? Let's say some other country, France, England, whatever, Belgium, experienced an October 7th. Would they get the same blowback that Israel does because it's a Jewish state?
I don't think they would. I think it's absolutely not. And one of the things that kills me is that they act like that the Jews in Israel is like some kind of colonialization of the land. Well, you have the Wailing Wall that goes back to the time of King David. Seriously?
Yeah, they forget history real quick. Let me say hello to Rabbi. Rabbi, good morning. Long time no speak. How you doing, bro?
Good morning. How's it going?
Man, Nick's better fucking do something this year, kid.
It's very disappointing. This losing streak is really bad. Really bad.
100%. So what do you think? What does it look like after the war's over? Hamas says they're going to release all the hostages. I think they're full of shit, Rabbi, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. I mean, but Gil is correct. There can be no future with Hamas as part of the political landscape in Palestine. Like it's a non-start. So I don't trust them at all, for sure. There needs to be other countries. There hasn't been enough other countries involved to pressure Hamas or to come in and say we're gonna deal with the political realities so that we can isolate Hamas.
So, Rabbi, let me ask you a question, Rabbi, respectfully. Do you think that a lot of other countries are suffering from, let's say, war fatigue right now?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I think people are tired of this and they don't want to talk about it anymore. Do you think it'll be like a militarized zones like Berlin was?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I don't know. There obviously has to be some kind of like transitionary period where Gaza is both rebuilt physically, but also, there are institutions being created that are functional civic institutions to really so that people can have like a real life. I don't know who creates that. But it's not Israeli. It's not the Israeli responsibility to do that. It's got to be somebody else now.
What was your reaction, Rabbi, to Donald Trump coming out and saying that he's going to make it a beachfront property and all that? And people automatically jumped on that and said, well, Donald Trump's going to put Trump Tower there. I don't think that was what he meant when he said it. But what do you think about the blowback that Donald Trump said that America will rebuild it?
Look, if America's going to come in as like a, what do we call it? You know, we'll take the lead on the rebuilding, but it's not that America's going to take it over and have it be like sovereign America. I don't see that as any different really than like if the Saudis were to come in and rebuild it, right?
Rabbi, I gotta be honest with you. I'd rather the Saudis build it than America use taxpayer funds.
I agree,
especially in this economy climate.
Yeah, I agree. But strangely, I just don't think there's not enough countries involved. There's got to be more. There's got to be Emirates and Saudis and some European participation.
I want to ask you this question. I want to say good morning to Mayor. How do we get them engaged to be involved? Because if they're disengaged right now, how do we bring them to the table?
You need a big carrot. Right? That's the Saudi. I heard an interesting theory the other day, right? Saudi wants to pump $1 trillion into the American economy, and as an exchange to get some kind of like security deal and intelligence sharing with the United States. Part of that will be a normalization with Israel, but it's got to be a big carrot. Got to have it. It's the only way to engage them.
Rabbi, could I pick your brain a second?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Isaiah 17:1?
Not off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. I've asked a couple of Jewish people about this because is that part of the Torah?
It's part of the Tanakh. It's part of the Hebrew Bible.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. The reason I ask is that Isaiah 17:1 says, the burden of Damascus, behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. And with all the conflict, I just wondered if there was any of the rabbis seen any correlation there between what is said in Isaiah and what we see unfolding now.
Well, Rabbi's thinking about it. I was going to say good morning.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that.
Good morning, Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to pick his brain.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself?
I'm good. Thank you.
What do you think about this article? Hamas says they'll release all Israeli hostages at once to end the war. Bullshit or legit?
No, I think it's legit. I think that the strategy always was and should have been, the more you hit Hamas, the more they're ready to surrender. They reneged on the deal. They couldn't get the ceasefire to continue. Israel went in hard. Have you been reading the articles of how many they've been hitting in the last few weeks? And now Hamas is begging mercy again, just like they did in November 2023. And there's I don't even want to call it clandestine, but there's a backdoor deal that the leadership can survive if they give up control and leave Gaza in the hands of a different administration, which has been from the very beginning. The plan was to get Hamas to no longer be a military political force in Gaza.
Yeah, but man, and just my opinion, obviously, and I'm not looking for smoking anybody because everybody on the stage is definitely smarter than me. But they give it a Hamas, somebody's going to step up and fill that role. It always seems to be that way. How do we prevent another Hamas in that region?
So that is the problem. Like, not to push it away, but the way you have to do that is make it not good for your longevity to be a radical. So whoever takes the stage has to know full well that if Hamas comes in, if they become like Hamas, they will follow the same fate as Hamas. I mean, I hope it doesn't take 100 years, but we've had this conversation. Attitudes change. Societies change. They change really rapidly today. We don't think similar to our parents, and definitely not like our grandparents or great-grandparents. This modernization is a real thing, but it does take time. It took this country 87 years to free our slaves and another 50 years to give rights to our women to vote, and then like about another 30 years until we gave full equal rights. And like it takes time, so I agree with that. But you gotta let the process start. I mean, just to like give up now and say, someone else might take over is a defeatist attitude. But it does take time for a culture to develop into a democracy.
Well, go ahead, Gil.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Luna, there's something else as well that people, there's two things actually that people don't understand. And it's not because they're ignorant, it's just because they don't know the area. They don't know the Middle East very well. I think, first of all, that when you've lived in the Middle East, and the majority of my life I've lived in Israel, you get a very unique view of how the Middle East works, and it doesn't work like the West. People in the West see Israel through Western eyes, and a lot of that doesn't apply in the Middle East at all. You're dealing with very, very, very different people there. That's number one. Number two, the size of Israel. People don't understand the size of Israel when you were talking about two-state solution. If I stand on a hill beside a place called Modi'in, or I go further in and I stand in a village called Nili, which is in the Judean hills, I can look into the center of Tel Aviv. I can look at runway 22 in Ben Gurion Airport, clear view. And with these groups that have become more and more radicalized over the years, it's quite clear that Israel cannot strategically give up any part of Judea and Samaria. Possibly part of the eastern sector, but certainly not the western sector of Judea and Samaria for a Palestinian state, because it is and would be a clear threat to the safety and security of the state of Israel. We saw what happened on October 7, where Gaza, which is a separate entity, Hamas come in and attack, is actually much easier to attack from Judea and Samaria into Israel than it is from the Gaza Strip into Israel. Well, it should have been easier, and it would have been easier, and it would be easier, especially if it was a Palestinian state. Another thing as well is that Gaza, and we talk about rebuilding in the Gaza Strip, people are also forgetting that underneath the soil in the Gaza Strip is a tunnel system that is larger than the London subway system. There are over 370 miles of tunnels on different levels. Tunnel on top of tunnel on top of tunnel, crisscrossing, going from north to south to east and west in the Gaza Strip, which these tunnels have been built from 2005 up until October 7th. These tunnels were being constructed. Any construction or reconstruction of the Gaza Strip is going to be an absolute nightmare. You have unexploded munitions all over the place, and I'm talking about all over the place. You have a tunnel system below. You can't put foundations down in buildings now with a tunnel system underneath the soil there in the Gaza Strip. It's literally, when Witkoff said a month and a half ago or 2 months ago when he was in Gaza that it's going to take 15 years to rebuild, he's probably not far wrong from that. It is going to take a long, long time to rebuild anything in the Gaza Strip. And this is why I think also Trump came out with a statement and said the Gazan people should be moved out temporarily, and whilst the Gaza Strip is rebuilt. Now, if you can imagine living in an area that it's a tiny, tiny area. You're talking, it's even smaller than Brooklyn, and you're living in an area like that is completely devastated. And again, devastated because of Hamas, not because of Israel. Devastated in a way that there's no way or no chance that you can live a normal life for 10 years anyway, maybe 15 years. Then wouldn't it be a great idea that if you could go and live somewhere else temporarily and have a decent life, then to move back into a place that is rebuilt? I think it's a great idea.
I've got to take off, man. Good room, good talking to all you guys. Have a very good day.
You too, Steve. Thank you. So, good morning, Brad.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Doing fantastic. Brad, let me ask you a question. What role does America play in rebuilding Gaza, in your opinion?
I think we're going to have to take the lead. If somebody's believing that the airplane is going to have any sufficient outcome, I've heard this discussion before, especially with people on the left. They're going to leave the Gazas in there. They're going to rebuild with the Gazas, basically the crux of the Arabian plan. We've repeated this before. Like, we've Jordan, and then they tried to overthrow the government, and then Jordan kicked them out. They went into Kuwait. They tried the same thing, tried to throw them out. Egypt spent 50 years trying to get rid of the the Brotherhood there. So they're not going to be too eager to have a whole bunch of people from Palestinian, especially young radical 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds who've been fed a diatribe of Hamas bullshit. So I think Trump's plan is the one that's only feasible. I think America will have to take the lead on it. I think they'll rebuild. I think it'll be a conjoined effort with Israel and maybe some peace in the region. But as far as I know, the only country that hasn't kicked out the Palestinians are the Christian ones. The 500,000 to 1 million of them that are residing in a pocket in Chile. And that's about it, Jay. So, I mean, I know great Muslims all around the world. It's not to say, but Palestine is not a country.
Let me ask you a question, a follow-up question. So, I agree with you. America's going to have to take the lead. Else it's going to be a clusterfuck. Why can't these people go to, let's say, Egypt, where they have plenty of land, put them there? I understand they did some crazy shit. I don't see, how is it feasible for these people to live there while they're rebuilding this land?
If they're living in Egypt, I think without, you've already heard these countries, buckle under the proposed economic sanctions or the leverages that Trump would use against them. So these countries will take in part. I think it's probably best for the Palestinian people. You have the left screaming that they're dying, that there's people in Gaza dying, there's a genocide going on. There's a genocide going on, then let them become refugees and allow these nations to take them in. If that's your true-hearted belief, then the only way to save these people is to get them out of the fire of Israel. If they're in Egypt, they're not on the line with Israel. If they're in Jordan, they're not on the line with Israel. So,
Brad, what about this, Brad? You have to mute up, bro. What about this? I'm going to say a statement and tell me if you agree with it, and everybody else could chime in as well. There will never be peace in the Middle East as long as that regime is in charge in Iran. What do you think?
There probably not, and there probably won't be peace with the Palestinian in the current situation because we've done the two-state solution for, almost 100 years now. It feels like, so, I mean, you're not going to get it. You're not going to have peace with a two-state solution. The left needs to get off of that, and they need to stop going after Jewish dick in order to try to figure that one out. And you're not going to have any kind of real peace with Iran doing the fuck shit it has, or fucking this shit going on in Syria. You're not going to have peace in that region for a long time. The only stabilizing peace we have is Israel, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and a couple other nations. You could have had it if you pushed forward with the Hamas Accords or the Abraham Accords, but I'm sorry, that was a little tongue-in-cheek there. But the Abraham Accords, you could have done that and brought some unifying and some measures of peace and stability in the region, and then you would have been able to eliminate entities like Hamas. But the Democrats said that was a bad deal, and they didn't push forward on it. They didn't follow the steps to have that great fucking alliance start to be cemented. So now we're at where we're at today, Jay.
Thank you, Brad. So the same question to Mayor and Gil and Doge. Is there any possibility of peace in that region as long as Iran's in charge? The regime in Iran? Gil or Mayor?
Sorry. Ironically, Iran has been helpful in making peace in the region because they're the dangerous ones, they're the scary ones. Now, I think there won't be stability in the region until they're gone. But the Abraham Accords and a peaceful solution, although very difficult with the Gazans, is definitely possible with Iran still around as an opposition to Iran.
Thank you, man. Morty, you got a very short leash in this room. I'm going to give you a chance to be respectful.
I'm not sure if you're talking to me. This is Morty.
Yeah, we know who you are. I was talking to you.
Yeah, he's a Jew-hating, anti-Semitic, racist, dirty dog piece of shit is what this loser is.
What do you think about that, Morty? Well, you're in the Matrix, bro. I tell you what, when you get out of the Matrix and get yourself a phone that you didn't buy at Five Below, come back up. We'll talk to you. Gil, are you there? Gil's not there. Edmund, what do you think? Can there be peace in that region if Iran?
Yeah, sure.
It's okay. So I was just asking a question. Can there be peace in that region as long as the regime in Iran is in charge?
No.
Do we do regime change? Because America's known to do that.
I don't think there's any question that Iran poses a huge threat to the whole of the Middle East and beyond. So yes, until the mullahs and the IRGC are removed from power in Iran, I don't think much is going to change. I mean, if you look at what they've done over the last 25 years, even longer, but 25 years, Hamas, the Houthis, all these militias scattered throughout the Middle East, their drive for nuclear weapons, which, is getting closer now. It's probably, I actually personally think they might even have nuclear weapons now. Maybe they just don't have a proper delivery system for it yet. But they're a serious threat, and they are the cause. They're the head of the snake, and until the head of that snake is removed, nothing's going to change. Thank you, Gil. So I'm going to do a quick reset. This is Healthy Debates. Trump, the gift that keeps on giving. Guys, we're talking Middle East, but we're going to go back to Trump in a few minutes. Let me just say hello to my old friend, Jane. I see you down there, Janie. America had.
Yeah, you said that America has been known to do regime change. We have done regime change. We're just not really very good at it. Like, we went into Iraq, we destroyed the place in 3 weeks, and then we tried to do regime building, and we did not do a very good job. Iran is different. The Persian people hate the government. The Persian people have had democracy in the past. They're ready to go back for it. There's, discussions of the next government, so, there are pieces in place. If there's a place we could do regime change, it probably is Iran. Just, reminding you that, we're very good at destroying stuff. We're really not very good at nation building.
Well, I asked the question earlier before I think you in the room, and I'll ask it to you now. Do you think an attack like October 7th, if that would happen in a different country, France, England, Belgium, pick a country, it doesn't matter, Australia, there'd be so much blowback as Israel gets because they're Jewish? You think it's an anti-Semite thing?
Well, it's a combination of mostly anti-Semitism and there's some anti-Western there. There's a bunch of leftist college blue-haired people that just hate the West. And Israel is an embodiment of a country that has built on Western values and became an economical superpower based on these Western values, and they hate that. So there's a happy combination of the two. But any other country that would have been attacked like on October 7th would have gone in, with the firepower that Israel has, would have gone in, killed 10 to 1 civilians, had the place cleaned out within 3 months, and we would have forgotten about it. It's only Israel that drags it out because of the humanitarian idea. And we're still here all this time later because they're tiptoeing around landmines and stealing.
Thank you, that man. Brad, I have a question for you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Why are so let me just make this statement. Donald Trump, who I didn't vote for, I made that mistake. I own it. But he's doing everything he said he was going to. There's nothing he's doing that he hasn't said he was going to do. Why are the libtards running around with their hair on fire because of these tariffs?
I wish they, instead of just lighting their hair on fire, I wish they'd go back to that whole, we're just going to burn ourselves in the middle of Times Square and make a statement. They don't even understand the tariff situation, and they're getting fed a diet of just pure rhetoric. They don't even know that at the start of this country and for a long time, that's how we funded our country. In fact, it's how 75% of the rest of the fucking world funds their governments is through tariffs. So you've got idiots that are running around and saying, well, it's okay if they place a taxation on U.S. people. It's a taxation on them that they have to pay. It's the U.S. that has to pay all that. And I don't know where this self-flatulence comes from because it's basically a bunch of bullshit that the average American must pay more to either start a business, to create wealth, to build and carve out. But they should have all these barriers. I give it off to Americans. You have to struggle against these liberal fucking weird progressive identitarian politics that tells you that you are not important, that you don't deserve a social safety net if you fail, that if you make so much as a buck, the left is going to come and tax it because it deems you rich and strip you of all that. You don't get to have your own IP. You don't get to have your own identity. You can't worship whatever God you want to or have any religious following unless it's what the left decrees. You must grow your kids as trans, feathered, furry, anal-loving, I don't know, porn stars, and you must make sure that they have a victim mindset. You must have a Rachel Dolezal freaking mentality. I mean, like when people say Americans are fat and lazy, I have to take that back because, quite frankly, through all the obstacles to raise Americans up, there are still Americans out there that are able to go to work, build a house, create a family, raise a family, go to church on Sunday, get their kids into school, get them to have good jobs, have a wonderful retirement, travel and see the world, and live on room service. I mean, the worst enemy is literally the left in this country. There you go, Jeff.
Thank you, Brad. So I have a question. Edmund, are you there, Edmund?
Yeah, I'm here.
So, Edmund, I just took a quick peek. The Dow Jones is down 1,600. The New York Stock Exchange is down almost 900, as is the NASDAQ. How does something like that impact everyday people like me, Weed Man, Mayor? How does that impact us?
Well, we know you don't have a portfolio. You like cash in your hand. But the baby boomers that are invested in...
Cash is king, Edmund.
Cash is king. But the baby boomers who are invested in Vanguard, which has $10 trillion in assets and just lost about 9% of the total value of that portfolio, or about $900 billion, tremendous amounts of market capitalization have been completely evaporated as a result of these tariffs. However, it's not just U.S. investors. These are global investors that are now paying us. We are now masters of our domain again. What Trump is doing is just common sense, practical, and reciprocal. This is what all countries are doing to us. This is what we do to them now. America first. Make America great again.
Thank you,
Stop. Great point. This is not 90s efficient market theory. This is, if this continues, then we can have this conversation. Right now, investors are spooked. We don't know what's going to happen next. This has been rolled out in a rose garden conversation. It's going to evolve. So the market's down. It's not going to remain down. And let's see what happens. Now, as far as are tariffs a good thing? No, tariffs are a terrible thing. And competitive advantage, which each country should make what they do best at, is the ideal. Now, Trump is all over his speech, but that's how Trump does things. If this is a trade war to get everyone to lower their tariffs, then great. Then that should be. And the markets will pick up a lot after that because the tariffs will be zero and everyone will go back to doing everything as most efficient as possible. The problem is the math is all wonky here. He's not doing tariffs based on what they charge us tariffs. He's doing tariffs based on trade disadvantages without carrying services. So this was rolled out half-baked. It was rolled out by the executive branch. It was probably against the Constitution. This has to be redone in a better way, and the markets will stabilize. So no, the market's going down.
No, you don't have to mute up. I just want to express because I'm trying to get some content.
I'm listening, but there might be background noise.
Are you you're a Republican, correct?
I'm a Republican, and listen, if we're talking about, do I regret? Well, I didn't actually vote for Trump. I lived in New Jersey, but let's pretend I did. Do I regret that? No, I'm very happy Trump won. I'd much rather talk about tariffs than talk about global taxes that Biden was talking about, and I'd much rather talk about the way Trump is deporting people than Biden inviting millions of migrants. And so it's all way better. We do this weird thing in America. We pick the better of the two candidates, and then when they do one thing wrong, we own it. So no, this is a much, much better conversation. I don't regret it at all. But I'm also not going to give a pass to my side when they expand the executive branch that I've been against always. I've spoken to you about Roe v. Wade, and I thought that it didn't belong to the court. We have separations of powers. This belongs to the legislative branch. We have trade agreements with other countries done by the Senate, and the executive cannot override that. So I still have those concerns and oppositions, even though I support the conversation. I'm going to call. I like the idea of reciprocal tariffs, but if you do the math wrong, I'm going to call it out. Again, I'd much rather call that out than forgiving student loans, which is not going to help anybody. It just makes the colleges rich.
Well, thank you, man. One thing. Go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, there does seem like this idea of the stock market plummeting and that we should call it out. Let's not forget that the stock market was overinflated over centuries. It's at record highs, severe highs. Even the drops it has is still nothing in comparison to where it's been. This could be a restabilization. This could be a realignment, as Mayor said. I think honestly that, I'm not really worried because Wall Street isn't what's indicated of a healthy economy in America. And it's really weird that they hear the right and left always pick on Wall Street as if it's going to be the health and the best thing. Trump does it, presidents do it, and then you have the left now screaming. You have idiots like Mickey and all these other ones coming up there going, hey, guess what? The stock market dropped 5 percentage points. It's a run-up. It's a disaster. It's not. It's not indicating. We just added to over 40,000 jobs last month, 280,000 jobs last month. Even NPR confirmed that story, and multiple places confirmed the story, and we know they're all left-leaning biases. And they're going, well, this is actually a sign of a